Greetings, viewers. I am Eric the Car Guy, but you probably already knew that. However, here on ETCG1, which is my other channel, I start things off with, hey, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Please enjoy this digital cake I got for you. For today's topic, I'd like to talk about exhaust leaks. Yes, I've recently had a run-in with a few of these, and well, since I've fixed them, it seems my life has gotten so much better, and I wonder if you're the same way. Something about exhaust leaks on any vehicle, like say you've got a nice looking car or whatever, and there's an exhaust leak, well, it kind of lowers your opinion of it a little bit. You know, you hear it going down the road, it sounds janky, maybe is the word, I'm not really sure. But it seems cheap. It seems to bring the value of the vehicle down when you hear it with an exhaust leak. I mean, sometimes, okay, we can look at it and say, yeah, that sounds really cool, like my junky car with pretty much the rotted out muffler or whatever. You hit the gas and it just, you know, you can hear it giving it all it's got, but you're not really going anywhere. But somehow it makes you feel a little bit better. But overall, for general everyday use, like just driving stoplight to stoplight or just cruising around town or whatever, having an exhaust leak is annoying. Now, you can turn the radio up, but you know, especially on the highway, sometimes you get that drone. But I've recently fixed, well, actually 3 exhaust leaks that I'm going to talk about and how they've improved my life. We'll start with the Type R. When I got that and I installed the used exhaust that I got with the Skunk 2 header and the Tanabe catback system, that was life-changing for that car. However, after I finished installing those parts, I had a small exhaust leak and it really bugged me. And where it was where the collector meets the, well, it would be the catalytic converter or whatever, but where the collector is done at the header wasn't quite angled correctly. So I had to go back in, I made a little pie cut, bent it, welded it, and now it's perfect. So ever since I did that fix, the car is so much better just in how it feels and how I feel about the car. Because I don't hear that small little happening. Sorry, sound effects. But I just don't hear that happening, and it sounds solid. And that Tanabe muffler, I cannot say enough good things about that. The Japanese really know how to make an exhaust. That's how I feel about it. Not a fart can, it just sounds good. Anyway, that was one. The next one I worked on just yesterday, which is why I've parked myself in front of actually these 2 vehicles, which are the other 2 vehicles that, well, I've fixed exhaust leaks on. Now the truck, since it's here first, ever since I started it up for the first time, it had an exhaust leak and it bugged me. It was just like a little Here we go, guys. And keep an eye out for leaks. Good? Yeah. On my gauge, it's a little bit low. Looks like at 50, I got to raise it up a little. And I could hear it, and it was small, and I went around tightening up header flanges and, you know, trying to find it, but it wasn't my fault. Yesterday, I found the problem, and because it's been running for a while, the exhaust leak actually left a witness mark underneath the header on the driver's side, all the way in the back. And it was just coming out underneath the bottom. You couldn't really see it. It was very difficult to find. So I removed the header and I found out that the welds on the inside of the pipe were not complete, where they welded the pipes to the flange. So I went back in, cleaned everything up, put a new weld in there, ground it all down, put it back on the truck and started it up for what felt like the first time. You know, I know it's just a teeny tiny exhaust leak. It was just a little leak. Wasn't the end of the world, but every time I'd walk around the truck while it was running, you know, I'd go around the front and I could hear it and it would just bug me. But as soon as I turned the key and started that thing up for the first time and heard it minus that exhaust leak, it was like a whole new truck. Same thing with the Type R. I mean, getting rid of that exhaust leak just made it whole, made it complete. And I'm not sure what the psychology is behind that, but I think there's something to exhaust leaks, particularly small exhaust leaks like that. Item number 3, the Honda Element in the back. Now, recently I put on an entirely new catback exhaust on the Honda Element because, well, let's face it, the Element, well, it's rusty under there, very rusty under there. And the exhaust is one of the parts that suffers a lot. Even though it's stainless steel from Honda originally, it still found its way. It usually starts out at the flanges, which I repaired. And, you know, I kept nursing that exhaust along and I said, heck with it. I'm just gonna trash it and start new. So bought an entirely new catback exhaust for the Element, bolted it up on there, still noisy. I'm like, what the heck? There's only one thing left, which is the catalytic converter. Well, two things, and the exhaust manifold. And the catalytic converter comes off of the exhaust manifold. There's a short pipe that goes into the cat, and then it goes back to the rest of the system that I just replaced. So I brought it in to try to address this problem the other day, and basically looking at it, it was just subject to that same rot that I mentioned, to where the spring bolts, here, let me show you. I saved these just for this video. So this is what remains. That's all that was left. In fact, this one over here on this side, the spring was starting to go over the top of it. Just, I mean, you could just see that it was ready to go any day. So without that spring tension, it wasn't able to, you know, hold that pipe fast to the exhaust manifold. And as a result, the gasket underneath started leaking. But because of the construction of the gasket, it's like this steel wool reinforced kind of graphite thing. And, you know, it's sort of conical in shape, and it just blew out all the sealing parts. So all that was left was like this metal mesh, and here's a picture of it now. So really, there was this huge leak there. So I went in, I bought new bolts, I bought new springs, I bought new gaskets, and I put it all back together, started it up, and it still leaked. I wasn't done yet. Come to find out, I removed the catalytic converter, I removed that entire pipe, and underneath the heat shielding, where the heat shield was welded to the pipe, and it's at the welds, it apparently is where the problems are. I mean, it all rotted away, and it's a double wall pipe for sure, but there was still exhaust sneaking out, and it was still making noise. So I thought about maybe cutting a section of pipe and putting it over it, and I'm like, nah, maybe that's just not worth it. I'll just fill it in with some welds. There's a pipe underneath, it'll be fine. And that's exactly what I did. I went through, I cleaned everything off, got rid of as much rust as I could, but as soon as I fired up the welder, it just blasted through whatever rust was left. Because rust you see on the surface is there's twice as much underneath the surface on the other side of the metal that you're not seeing. The welder finds that in short order, let me tell you. But anyway, ugly welds for rusty metal, but sealed that pipe up, put it all back on the Element, started it up. Once again, for the first time, I'm like, wow, this is great, you know, because now I sit at a stoplight and it's just quiet and it's smooth and it feels like new. It feels like a new Element just from fixing that exhaust leak. And once again, not a major exhaust leak, just a small exhaust leak, just to sit there and just sort of scratch at the back of your brain, just being like, yeah, I'm here, I'm here. Here's another thing about exhaust leaks, particularly exhaust leaks that happen before O2 sensors. When those happen, it's going to mess up the fuel mixture because the O2 sensor, the computer uses the O2 sensor readings to calculate fuel mixture. It's basically sniffing its own exhaust and deciding how to adjust fuel mixture accordingly. It's like one of the main sensors. It's probably next to the coolant temperature sensor, one of the most important sensors as far as fuel injector input. If you fix those exhaust leaks, it's able to get a more accurate reading of the exhaust coming out of the engine and therefore makes it run better. Emissions also improve. The point of this video and those 3 different experiences that I shared with you were all about exhaust leaks and how they can affect your perception of a vehicle. And I'm wondering if you're the same way. I'm wondering if your vehicle has an exhaust leak that's just been bugging you and you can't do anything about it, or you've tried to fix it and you can't seem to find it or whatever. Best way to find exhaust leaks, by the way, I did a video about this and I'll post it in the description. It's pretty much just take a shop rag while the engine's running, hold it in the tailpipe or tailpipes, and listen for where the exhaust is coming out. And that's the easiest way to do it, is just to pretty much block off the exit, and then whatever small leaks there are, it will find a way. And that, in my opinion, is the easiest way to find them. You don't have to do it for long. And it usually takes another person. Usually one person is holding on the exhaust and the other is going around and listening for where that leak is coming from. And I hope that tip is helpful to you. But anyway, how do you feel about exhaust leaks? Do they bug you like they bug me? And when they're fixed, is it life-changing? Because to me, it's been life-changing on 3 separate vehicles, and all the work that I did to all those things, it's amazing how just the exhaust and fixing that just put a bigger smile on my face. Anyway, before I close this video out, I'm going to go around each one of these vehicles. I'll start them up just so that you can hear the exhaust for yourself, and well, maybe you can share in my joy. Anyway, I'm going to do that actually post-credits is how I'm going to do that. I'm going to start each one of them up. But for now, if you have automotive questions, I ask that you head to air@thecarguy.com. That will be linked in the description, along with additional information, videos, related stuff like the one I just mentioned. So check the description if you have other questions. Other than that, thank you so much for watching today. I look forward to your comments about exhaust leaks down in the comments, and I'll be back after the credits roll, and we'll start up all 3 of these vehicles, and you can let me know what you think of them. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. All right, let's start with Blackbeard here. I don't think the microphone does it justice. It just sounds awesome. Love it. I don't know how I completely forgot about this and glanced over it. I guess it's because for so long this gave me nightmares, but the exhaust on the Fairmont was a total nightmare with the turbo and everything. In fact, this is the second set of headers that I put on it, the second set of exhaust that I put on it from On3, and this is the stainless version, which was way better than the steel version I started out with. Once again, after finally fixing all the leaks, it is awesome. Hear for yourself. And now for, of course, the exhaust cutout. That's an exhaust leak I can get into. And now the Element. You can hardly tell this thing is on. Right? Quiet. I like it. Smooth. Let's end things on a high note, or a low note, with Dad's truck. No more leak. I just hear the engine. And it's awesome. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty, everybody. See you next time.